On tonight's stories, World Health Organization official says Delta variant is now dominant in the Philippines. Travel restrictions in 10 countries extends until September 5. President Duterte is eligible to run as vice president, the DOJ official says. U.S. completes withdrawal of troops in Afghanistan and Taliban fighters celebrates. Pacquiao's faction confident in having more members in PDP Laban. We brings you the latest happenings here and all over the globe. Good evening, my name is Alvin Palabello and this is Eurotv News. The World Health Organization's official on Monday says a majority of the samples sequenced by the Philippine Genome Center were the most contagious Delta variant of coronavirus disease, confirming it is the most dominant variant in the Philippines. With the recent samples, 69.98% of the 748 samples were Delta variants. According to WHO Philippine Representative Rabindra Abiyasinghe, these speculations were based on the existing data they've seen.
Certainly, based on the limited sequencing data that we have, that is confirmed. Nearly 70% of the last sequencing run was attributed to Delta.
WHO official also confirmed the community transmission of Delta variant. On Monday, Philippine Health Bureau tallied the largest daily infections with 22,366 fresh cases, showing that the surge of COVID-19 infections driven by the Delta variant. Last week, the Department of Health has confirmed the existence of community transmission on some regions, particularly in Metro Manila and Calabarzon. DOH have tallied a total of 1,789 cases of Delta variant and with local cases detected mostly. Since the pandemic had begun, coronavirus disease or COVID-19 infections in the Philippines breached over 2 million on Wednesday. The Philippine Health Bureau has recorded more than 14,000 fresh cases of COVID-19. This brings the country's total active cases into almost 141,000. And 18,754 adds into a total of more than 1.8 million recoveries. 86 new death cases added into more than 33,000. The Department of Health has tallied more than 97% of cases were mild and asymptomatic. Metro Manila has 71% ICU bed occupancy rate, while 73% utilization rate reported in the country as a whole. Malacanang Palace has announced the travel restriction extension on inbound travelers from 10 countries until the 5th of September. According to Presidential Spokesperson Secretary Harry Roque, President Rodrigo Duterte has approved extended travel bans imposed on India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Nepal, United Arab Emirates, Oman, Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia. In a statement, Roque says this is still a part of proactive measures, slowing the increase of COVID-19 cases and adding to stop the spread of variants and increase healthcare capacity. Travel restrictions on these countries were supposedly end on Tuesday, August 31. Earlier, the government had imposed restrictions to prevent the entry of the double mutant Delta variant of COVID-19 that is first detected in India. Millions of COVID-19 vaccines has arrived in the Philippines. The National Task Force Against COVID-19 assured a volume of COVID-19 vaccines to be arrived this September. Here's the details from Vanessa Cleophas.
On Tuesday afternoon, China-made Sinovac vaccine has arrived in the Philippines, which includes 3 million doses of the said vaccine. National Task Force Against COVID-19 Chief Implementer and Vaccine Czar Secretary Carlito Galvez Jr. said that those vaccine will be deployed mostly to Region 4A, Region 3 and other regions that are experiencing surges in infectious, such as Region 6, 7, and 8. Galvez added the assurance of volume vaccine arriving this September that will be allocated to some province and regions which includes Cavite and Laguna, while the National Capital Region vaccine allocation will be limited for second dose, particularly those with high cases. So far, a total of 29.5 million doses of Sinovac vaccine have been delivered to the country, of which 27,600,000 doses were procured by the national government. Philippines has expected to receive more vaccines starting September that includes 12 million doses of Sinovac, 5 million doses of Pfizer-BioNTech, 2 million doses of Moderna, 1 million doses of AstraZeneca, 1 million doses of Sputnik Light, 3 million doses from the COVAX facility, and 1 million doses to be donated by a bilateral partner. Aside from 3 million doses of Sinovac, another 15,000 doses of Sputnik V has also received by the Philippines on the same day. So far, 51,885,590 doses have been delivered to the country, including the latest shipment of the 3 million Sinovac doses which arrived. As of September 1, the country has administered a total of 33,099,392 doses nationwide, wherein 19.4 million doses were given as the first shot, while over 13.8 million individuals have received the second dose and are now fully vaccinated. This is Vanessa Cleofas for Eurotv World News.
President Rodrigo Duterte is eligible to run for Vice President, the second highest position in the country. Based on 1987 Philippine Constitution, incumbent president is not allowed to run for president after his term in service, but nothing prohibits to run with other positions, even for vice presidency, says Justice Secretary Menardo Guevara. Guevara has cited instances where a president after its term in service sought for lower positions. He named former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, who ran for a Congress as a Pampanga representative in 2010 but later appointed as a House Speaker. He also mentioned former President Joseph Estrada, who became the mayor of Manila in 2013. In history, no president yet has won the vice president after serving as a chief executive. Last week, Duterte accepted the endorsement of PDP Laban to run for the vice presidency, but later announced his plans to back out once his daughter and Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte will seek for the highest seat. Progressive groups and other lawmakers has criticized this move, as they seen that he might just want to retain the power by pushing his ally and to keep his immunity from suit amid the call for an investigation of the killings in his war on drugs campaign. Duterte even pointed out that he will continue his campaign against illegal drugs, a reason why to take the endorsement of the PDP Laban as a vice president. Partido Demokratiko Pilipino Lakas ng Bayan, or the PDP Laban left-wing faction Senator Manny Pacquiao on Tuesday expressed confidence of having a large number of their members compared to the rival wing led by Energy Secretary Alfonso Cusi. Newly elected PDP Laban Vice Chairperson, former Samar Governor Lutgardo Barbo, says their group hold a much larger number of their members, although Barbo unable to provide an exact number of their members. Earlier this week, Pacquiao's faction ousted President Duterte as a party chairperson, replacing him with Senator Coco Pimentel III, established its legitimacy amid the party's internal rift. Cusi's faction, however, refused to honor the proceedings of the said meeting, adds that replacing new party's chairperson is a funny way, and accused that members are not legitimate members of the PDP Laban. Barbo defends that they have the large base of legitimate members and adds Cusi's factions were newly members of the political party. Majority of the support of Pimentel came from the original members of the PDP Laban. The political group was founded in 1983 after Pimentel's father, the late former Senator Nene Pimentel Jr., merged with democracy icon Ninoy Aquinos Jr. Laban to oppose a dictatorship of then President Ferdinand Marcos. Manila Electric Cooperative announces no disconnection for their customers with unpaid bills. This covers the National Capital Region and the provinces of Laguna, Bulacan, Cavite, Rizal, and Lucena City in Quezon. No disconnection will be in effect until September 7, along with extension of the modified enhanced community quarantine. Labor institution Defend Jobs Philippines urging the Commission on Election to extend voters registration deadline for another month until October 31, 2021. In a petition letter addressed to COMELEC, labor institution emphasized voters registration for the 2022 national elections must be reconsidered to extend, adding that COMELEC recent denial of registration means massive disfranchisement of millions of workers longing for pro-labor leaders who will genuinely serve us in the coming years. Also stated in the letter, workers have high hopes of voting candidates who can address and resolve their urgent demands for regular jobs, higher wages, better benefits, safe workplace, and right self-organization. Defend Jobs Philippines also urged COMELEC to conduct satellite registrations in business hubs, economic zones, and industrial centers for a huge amount of workers willing to register. COMELEC should also consider to compensate days of suspension of its operation due to COVID-19 lockdown. This year alone, the COMELEC has suspended twice the registration schedules in the National Capital Region due to the reimposition of the enhanced community quarantine and with another week of extension of the quarantine protocols. So far, the Philippine Statistics Authority cited there are 60 million of the estimated 73.3 million Filipinos are eligible to vote. On June, PSA data shows 60 million registered voters and there are 13.3 million who has not yet registered. Scientists in South Africa closely monitors the new variant of COVID-19. This variant, known as the C12, were flagged last week by KwaZulu-Natal Research and Innovation and Sequencing Platform. In a preprint study, scientists found this variant with uncommon increase in mutation rate and had a frequency increase in the past few months. Its mutation rate were reportedly two times faster compared to the other global variants. In spite of its frequency increase from 0.2% in May, now up to 2% this August, scientists find this variant at a very low levels and it was too early to predict how it might evolve. And adds currently they don't have experimental data to confirm how it reacts in terms of its sensitivity to antibodies. The authorities were confident that the vaccines in South Africa continues to provide protections in their residents. The C12 variant detected in all 9 provinces in South Africa, even in China, Mauritius, New Zealand, and Britain. However, scientists emphasize this is not frequent enough to qualify as either a variant of interest or a variant of concern compared to the highly transmissible Delta variant and Beta variant. Amid the threat of the coronavirus disease or COVID-19, several places in Indonesia resumes their classes this week. Let's hear some details from Catherine Landicho.
Total of 610 schools that have passed the required test by the Jakarta Education Agency reopened their doors for the first time since the pandemic started, though with many precautions still in place. The city administration had initially planned to reopen schools in June, but the plan was postponed as another wave of infections triggered by the highly contagious Delta variant engulfed the country. There are about 5,341 schools in Jakarta ranging from elementary to high school, according to government data. Schools in several other cities outside Jakarta also opens on Monday. Even as schools reopen, government guidelines for school facilities have changed many class tradition. Cutting in class is not allowed. Face masks must be worn at all times and no one can leave class for recess. Schools must slash class capacity to 50% by holding classes in 2 shifts. Teachers must be vaccinated also. Indonesia's health ministry reported 7,427 new infections in past 24 hours on Sunday, the lowest daily total since June 9. There has been a steady decline since the peak on July 15, when more than 56,000 cases were recorded in a single day. Catherine Landicho for Eurotv World News.
After the United States of America completely removed their troops in Afghanistan, the Taliban forces celebrates their victory. Afghans face bank runs as they now suffer for food shortage. Banks have been closed more than 2 weeks ago as Taliban march in the country's capital, Kabul. U.S. President Joe Biden stands on his decision to withdraw U.S. troops in Afghanistan. According to Biden, staying longer was not an option, and he adds he has ended the 20 years of war in Afghanistan, the longest war in the history. He also emphasized that the biggest airlift of U.S. was completed, and with more than 120,000 people evacuated safely. U.S. troops went into Afghanistan in 2001, hosting Taliban in their wake of the devastating 9/11 attacks. Scientists in South Africa closely monitors the new variant of COVID-19. This variant, known as the C12, were flagged last week by KwaZulu-Natal Research and Innovation and Sequencing Platform. In a preprint study, scientists found this variant with uncommon increase in mutation rate and had a frequency increase in the past few months. Its mutation rate were reportedly 2 times faster compared to the other global variants. In spite of its frequency increase from 0.2% in May, now up to 2% this August, scientists find this variant at a very low levels, and it was too early to predict how it might evolve. And adds currently they don't have experimental data to confirm how it reacts in terms of its sensitivity to antibodies. The authorities were confident that the vaccines in South Africa continues to provide protections in their residents. The C12 variant detected in all 9 provinces in South Africa, even in China, Mauritius, New Zealand, and Britain. However, scientists emphasize this is not frequent enough to qualify as either a variant of interest or a variant of concern compared to the highly transmissible Delta variant and Beta variant. Let's take a look at the current COVID-19 situations over the globe. That has been the stories of the night, news stories you need to know. You can always check out our social media accounts for the latest happenings here and all over the globe. Thank you for joining me this evening. My name is Alvin Pelabello and you're watching Eurotv World News.